So, let's talk about 360-degree virtual tours. You've seen them, right? They feel like a little bit of magic, letting you explore a whole space right from your screen. But here's the thing. Behind that magic, for the actual professionals trying to make them, there's often this really frustrating world of crazy high costs and tangled up technology. We're going to unpack that. So that brings us right to the main question. If you're an architect, a real estate agent, maybe a museum curator, why is it so ridiculously hard to create and, more importantly, to actually own a digital version of a physical space? This is the core problem we're diving into today. You know, it all really comes down to what we're calling the virtual tour trap. We're about to break down these common headaches that have basically defined the market for years, and it's something I bet a lot of you professionals out there have felt every single day. When you try to make one of these, you run into three huge walls. First, just crushing reoccurring costs. Second, software that is way more complicated than it needs to be. And third, something we call the ownership illusion. Let's break down exactly what these traps look like.
Okay, first up, the cost. Most of these platforms, they run on a subscription model, right? They're charging you anywhere from $50 to, get this, $500 a month. So think about what that means. You are essentially paying monthly rent to show off something that you created. It's your work, but it's stuck on their server, and you have to play by their rules.
And then there's the complexity barrier. A lot of these tools are just not built for normal people. They can take weeks of training just to figure out the basics, and on top of that, they often need a super powerful, really expensive computer to even run them. That just creates this massive wall, both technically and financially, for so many people.
And this is the biggest trap of them all. The ownership barrier. There's this term for it called vendor lock-in. And what it means is if you ever decide you can't or don't want to pay that expensive monthly bill anymore, your virtual tour, all that work you did, it just vanishes. Poof, gone from the cloud. You never owned it. You were just renting it all along.
But what if there was a totally different way to do this? This brings us to a really fundamental shift in thinking. A move away from, renting your own digital reality and toward finally truly owning it. And the source material just frames this so perfectly with this quote, "A declaration of digital independence." I love that. It's all about breaking free from those traps and taking back control of your own digital stuff. And this is the tool that promises to do it. PocketSV. Okay, so it's a completely web-based editor, which means it just runs in your browser, no downloads. But here is the absolute game changer. It creates standalone, portable virtual tours. The whole philosophy is as simple as it gets. You build it, you own it. Period.
All right, so that sounds great. But how does it actually work in practice? Let's dig into the PocketSV solution and see exactly how it takes on those problems of cost, complexity, and ownership head-on.
Now, this chart is so important because it lays out the whole landscape. On one side, you have the usual SaaS platforms, high monthly costs, and remember, zero ownership. On the other side, you've got this heavy-duty desktop software, super expensive up front, and it takes forever to learn. PocketSV just carves out this perfect sweet spot in the middle. Affordable, super easy to learn, and you get total ownership. And you can see it right there. It works on any browser, and your final tour works online and offline.
And that control you get comes from a bunch of features that are really powerful but also dead simple to use. You can literally just drag and drop your 360 photos to build a tour in minutes. You get an interactive floor plan with a little radar so you know where you're looking. You can slap your own brand on everything. It automatically hides the tripod for you. And you can add all sorts of cool interactive hotspots like videos, PDFs, you name it.
Okay, let's just hammer this point home because it's the most important one. With the typical platforms, you are a renter. You're paying for permission to access your tour on their server. With PocketSV, you click Export and you get a single zip file. That file is your tour, the whole thing. It's yours. You can put it on your website, email it to a client, heck, put it on a flash drive. You have total and complete freedom.
So yeah, this all sounds amazing in theory, right? But what about the real world? What kind of results does this actually create? Let's take a look at the impact this has across a few different industries.
In real estate, the impact is, well, it's massive. Property listings that have a virtual tour get 87% more views. That is not a small bump. That is a fundamental change in how people are shopping for homes online.
And here's the brilliant insight behind that number. It completely flips the buyer's journey on its head. It used to be that people would schedule a bunch of physical visits just to figure out which houses they didn't like. Now, with a good tour, they do all that homework online, and they only visit in person to confirm that it's the one. Just think about the incredible amount of time that saves for both the buyer and the agent.
And it's not just real estate. For tourism and hospitality, we're talking hotels, vacation rentals, the data shows a 30% increase in booking conversions. And it makes sense, right? An immersive tour just gets rid of all the guesswork and gives people the confidence to click that Book Now button.
And the applications just keep getting more powerful. Architects can use this to create these undeniable, immersive progress reports for their clients on a construction project. Or, and I love this one, think about education. A small rural museum can digitize its entire collection and just send the whole virtual tour on a flash drive to a school that doesn't have good internet. How amazing is that? It's literally democratizing access to culture.
So, as we start to wrap things up here, the main takeaway, the core message, is all about empowerment. It's about giving creative professionals the tools to not just create, but more importantly, to own their immersive reality.
The source material calls PocketSV the digital Swiss Army knife for this stuff, and honestly, I think that's the perfect metaphor. It's this versatile, powerful, and totally portable tool that puts all the control right back where it belongs, in the hands of the creator.
At the end of the day, the goal here is to become the open standard for this kind of technology. Something that's accessible to everyone, powerful enough for professionals, and designed to fit, well, right in your pocket, giving you the freedom to build whatever you can imagine.
And that really just leaves us with one final thought. Once you're free from all the subscriptions, the vendor lock-in, the crazy complexity, the possibilities are just endless. So the real question is this: if you could truly own your virtual world, what would you build? A listing that completely changes the game, an unforgettable museum exhibit, the next great architectural portfolio? For the first time, the choice is actually yours.